Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's BlueLightS webinar, Community Stakeholders at the Heart of Blue Education, Challenges and Best Practices. My name is Michal Pumakov, and I'm very glad to welcome you all to this webinar on behalf of BlueLightS project. And I will pass the floor to Ginevra Gatti, who will tell you about the agenda of today's webinar and what is going to happen.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Welcome. Thank you, especially because it's after lunch break. So I hope you had your coffee, you're energized. And if not, I'm sure our speakers of today will do their best to do so. So I will start by sharing my screen and sharing with you the agenda for today. Here it comes. I will start with presenting you why I am the moderator of today and what I do for ALDA. Then a quick presentation also on the BlueLightS project, which Michael just mentioned, and which is part of the webinar of today, and the campaign that we are doing in the frame of the project. Then we will have our speakers intervening in the order that you see on the screen. And finally, there will be time for you to make questions and answers, and we will have a roundtable discussions with all our speakers. Then I will wrap up and we will close the event. Just FYI, after each intervention, you can also have time for questions, so you don't have to wait for the final round.
Yes, I will just quickly intervene and
Please.
say that you can ask your questions whenever you want throughout the webinar, and we will address all of them in the end of the webinar. And yes, let's start.
Thank you. Okay, so again, as I said, my name is Ginevra and I work for ALDA. I'm project manager here. ALDA is as you can see from, I don't have a presentation. I will just show you the website and I will put then all the links in the chat for you for later consultation. So ALDA is the European Association for Local Democracy. We are a French registered organization, but we work all around Europe. And we are also now expanding to non-EU countries. I'm personally based in Brussels. And since we are a membership-based organization, so we have 300 members, and most of them are here today as speakers. And we also work as we write projects. So we work mainly with European projects. Me personally, I manage Horizon, but we have also Erasmus, Life, and all the kind of programs that you're probably familiar with. So since we have many of these different projects, what we do with our work is that we divided ourselves in the different thematic hubs. So you can see here that we work on digitalization, gender inclusion and human rights, migration, youth and education. And here it comes my hub. It's the hub on environment and climate, where I work on projects related to climate change, environmental education, as well as especially water. And the BlueLightS project, switching now to the second part of my quick introduction. The BlueLightS project is one of the projects I manage. It's an Horizon project, and the main objective of it is to expand the network of European Blue schools. So those schools that are present in the European territory that are already promoting or are willing to promote and to do activities and projects on blue education. And when I talk about blue education, I mean ocean literacy, marine education. There are many different names to call it. How does the project do it? I would say in main two ways. The first one, very practical, it's the funding. And here on the website, you see also our sister projects, which are Shore and ProBlue. So BlueLightS has a specific budget which we can allocate to projects presented by schools to us. Unfortunately, we had 3 calls and 2 of them are already closed because the project is already going to its final second year. But I encourage you to have a look at this page and to follow us on social media because we're going to post the third and last call very soon. It's still not open. And actually, we still don't know when we're going to open it. But again, if you check it here, you will see. it works that the school has to present the project. The project can be written also to some experts, and you can reach out to us for support in writing the project. But it has to be a school presenting it, meaning applying for the funding. We are how much money are we talking about? The project can be funded up to 3,000 euro. So it's a good amount for an activity that a starting activity that a school would like to promote. So this is the first practical way in which the BlueLightS project help in reaching his scope and objective. The other way is what you are experiencing today, meaning that we have a knowledge hub. So you can actually subscribe to BlueLightS educational platform. And what you see is that you're going to have many different materials, starting from PDF, PowerPoints, recording of webinars, other different kind of recordings. And I think this was done because we understood that it's an increasing interest when it comes to water education, but most of the stakeholders that are interested in it could lack of the time to prepare the materials or of the knowledge that they need to teach these things. And also when I talk about education, I include in it any sort of education, right? Not just schools, but also non-formal education, which we're going to address later today. I think an asset of this platform is that you have materials also in different languages, not all of them yet, but you see, for instance, we have 18 materials in Croatian, 1 in Dutch, 24 in English, Finnish, French. So you can really even find a material which is accessible for non-English speakers. And when you will subscribe to it, you will see that you can also take part in a forum. So you can directly interact with the other stakeholders part of the platform. Now, last part, which I also think it's very interesting and very connected to what we're going to do today. As I said, ALDA is organizing this webinar because we have a big network at local level. Since we are an association for local democracy, we promote European and democratic values at local level with different kind of stakeholders. This could be representatives from municipalities, cultural institutions, educational representatives, NGOs, a civil society organization, any sort of thing. And we realized with the BlueLightS project that there was increasing interest in the theme of water and raising awareness on the importance of water. So the project extended to include also cities and citizens. And the way in which we're doing it is that we started the campaign that you see on my screen, MakeEUBlue Cities in Action campaign, in which, again, as I said, the two main people who are mobilized are cities representatives and citizens. How? If you go here, you will go to the website, which you see there is, it's the European Commission website, because it's something we're doing in collaboration with the Commission, of course. For the cities, if you go to Guide for Cities, we proposed 10 different actions that the cities can take inspiration from to start doing something concrete for the ocean and for any water source that they are in reach of. This doesn't mean that you have to be a city or a citizen residing in a city with a water source. It can also be inland, but it's an action that you can still sponsor and you can still start doing. So if you will scroll down, you will see there are different actions that we suggest, up to 10. But of course, if there is a specific need or a specific idea, it's more than welcome to suggest more actions. Here we put for you and for the city's representatives our website, our email, which you can directly reach out to us to suggest new things to do together. And this is when it comes to city representatives. When it comes to citizens, you can sign the petition, and you will put your name, last name, email, and the city you are from. You can sign the petition, and by that, it's like you're calling your city representatives to do something. This is not limited to it because we also always going to the same email address I showed before. We can also provide you, as a citizens, with some social media materials and other materials for you to do campaigns, do activities at your local level, but also promote it on social media channels. As you can see, we already reached 13,000 signatures. And if you're curious, you can also see which are the leading cities where we collected the signatures. So as you can see, Brussels, Frankfurt, and Jean and Luxembourg right now are the most active on this. So yeah, I think that's it from my side. I will stop sharing, and I will now move to our amazing speakers. So the first speaker I would like to introduce is Anna Stolyarova. Anna is the founder and director of the Street Art Museum of Amsterdam and is, of course, member of ALDA. I think she really managed to combine her background in digital media and creative industry with her passion for the power of street art, and street art not just as art, but as a powerful tool for non-formal education. So through Sama, I think she created a living community-centered place where they do workshops, storytelling, hands-on projects that empower people of all ages and social economic background to learn new skills, express themselves, connect with others. So today she's going to tell us how this takes shape when it comes to ocean protection and marine education. So thank you very much, Anna, for being here with us, and I leave the floor to you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Let get this working. So, my name is Anna, and thank you very much, Alda, for inviting me to share the story of our museum and also our journey deep into the oceans. At Sama, we believe that art is not just a decoration, it's a dialogue, it's an emotion, it's a connection. And when city walls start talking, people begin to listen. When we first started in 2010, the idea was simple: to take art out of the white cube and bring it into the streets where everyone can access it. 15 years later, we've created more than 300 artworks, reached over 20,000 visitors per year, and impacted nearly 200,000 people living in the neighborhood. Not in a gallery, but right here, on the pavement, at the bus stop, or next to our local supermarket. Because street art belongs to the people, it also belongs to those who might never visit a museum. It belongs to those who think art is not for them. And that's where our heart beats, with the communities that traditional education and culture often overlook. For example, today in the morning, I was giving inside the classroom speech because of the hurricane going through Amsterdam, and 12-year-old students couldn't walk for 2 hours in the pouring down rain. So the joke was that I brought the museum in my suitcase to the classroom. But today we're here to talk about BlueLightS and our latest adventure, Blue Education. We started with Freie Universität project from sea to street. At the beginning, I was wondering why would marine biologists need a spray paint, a can, and a stencil and a glue to spread their message. But I'm very proud to say that after a year of discussions, we found each other. And most importantly, we explored a very powerful question: how can art make us care more deeply about our oceans? We believe in a time where information is everywhere, emotion is still missing. People know about overfishing, pollution, and climate change. They know about sad fisherman stories. They know there is no more water in Latin America and the deserts are killing the planet. However, that's where the art comes in. Art makes complexity visible. It makes it human. When you see a mural of a drowning city or a whale entangled in plastic or a child painting a coral reef that no longer exists, it hits you differently. You don't need a lecture, you feel it. And that emotion becomes a starting point for awareness and action. That's what we call blue education, learning through art. Through murals, we turn walls into classrooms and streets into open air museums. There are no tickets, no barriers, no permission needed to learn. Every mural becomes an invitation to reflect. What is our relationship with water, with nature, with each other? We are made of water. And the most beautiful part is that these artworks are co created with young people, local residents, and even scientists, as in my case, marine biologists. It's not about painting for the community, it's about painting with them. In this way, art becomes a collective act of learning and empowerment. At Sama, we've seen how the works in practice from Alanis, that's a lady breastfeeding the kid, called Tolerance in 2012, to Bastardia Ecology at the bottom in 2018, to Bizarreality's work, New Amsterdam Rising, Head Above the Water. Each mural, which we inaugurated 2 weeks ago, each mural becomes a conversation starter. They invite curiosity, they create intergenerational learning moments where children, parents, artists, academics all talk together on the street close to the artwork. And they remind us that science and emotion are not opposite, they actually belong together. And this is exactly why our collaboration with ALDA and the BlueLightS project is so important. We share the same mission to raise awareness, engage communities, and connect local stories with global challenges. Every mural tells a local story, but its echo reaches far beyond. A small neighborhood in Amsterdam can speak to a fishing village in Spain or a coastal community in Latvia. How cool is that? And because climate change doesn't stop at borders, neither should we. This approach, using street art as a bridge between art, science, and community, is something we're continuing with our upcoming project, Streetwise. It's again collaboration with Free University residents, artists, and scientists to create art about local social issues, from healthy living environments to energy transition to using water. Through co creation, we turn complex scientific ideas into something tangible, emotional, and shared. Because when people paint together, something magical happens. They start owning their own story. So, what does all of this mean for us today? It means that every wall can become a voice for planet, a voice for an ocean, a voice for those who are not always heard. Street art is not a trend, it's a movement. It's a language of inclusion, participation, and hope. And through partnerships like BlueLightS, we can continue to demonstrate that creative community based approaches are not just beautiful, they are effective tools for climate education and social change. And that's why I'm very happy to say that again, together with ALDA and the relationship of 5 years, this November we are testing a toolkit for youth workers using street art as a tool to create awareness and, most importantly, inclusion. And to close, I want to leave you with this thought. Art may not save the world, but it can make us fall in love with the world again. And people who we love, we protect them. Therefore, let's keep painting, let's keep connecting and listening to what our city walls have to say. So thank you very much and namaste.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was great. I'm already well aware of what you do, but it's always nice to see it again. I think we have 5 minutes left because you were perfectly on time.
I practiced.
Participants don't know how scary I was with you with the timing. No, but you were perfect. And actually, I invite the participants, since we have some time, to pose their question on the chat or unmute themselves. Really feel free if you have direct questions for Anna on street art, on the projects they do on Sama. Feel free. I will wait some seconds. Also, thank you, Michael. I saw you put my links in the chat.
Yes, please feel free to check the links in the chat, and you can once again explore everything that Ginevra told you about. And as for the questions, we have first question to Anna, which is, how was your collaboration with scientists?
Interesting. I think one of my favorite anecdotes is finding marine biologists trying to define what is mural, because there is no definition of street art or mural in the sense of street art mural. And for scientists to begin, they literally had to start with a definition. I think the first 6 months we've been in the dialogue about, you cannot do that. I don't touch your marine biology. I don't touch your ocean. Don't touch my murals. But at the end, through the collaboration, through the conversation, we actually found a few interesting points, including how science can support NGOs and non-formal education in the sense of dissemination, and also bringing us closer to the other scientists. Through Blue Ocean, we've met Stratwise. Through Stratwise, we went further through cross-disciplinary studies, and these synergies are not easy to find between the street and the library. So the human dialogue helped a lot, and finding a couple of progressive young professors changed our lives.
Thank you,
Does
Anna.
that answer a question?
That was a very thoughtful answer. And we have another one from Aran Blanco. He's saying, okay, it's not a question, it's just a comment. He says that he wishes to visit that museum and that they also have a similar one in his hometown. And some murals are about the Mar a lagoon that became strongly atrophied in the last years. Aaron, if you could also mention what is your hometown, that would be interesting. And thank you for that comment. Okay, and Anna also shared the information about the street art museum in Amsterdam here in the chat. So if anyone is interested, you can visit the link and explore more.
Also, the platform Hero Academy is a toolkit platform where we're launching 10 modules about how street art can help non-formal education. And the third link for Freie University Stratwise is actually the Streetwise project, which we will be doing with scientists, theater, city reporters who are pensioners, and us. So you can read more on those 3 websites. Thank you.
We also have a question from Anonymous, apparently, which is how you would apply the toolkit to one or more of these contacts.
To be honest, I would apply the toolkit to many more contexts, in many more situations. It's been written by 5 organizations. Each one of them have their own speciality in street art. But again, just talking here, street art and gardening. The Neighborhood Garden of Stories was this year project. We've raised 50,000 euros, and we connected the neighborhood which will be demolished. So starting next year, 12 streets, one by one, gonna go down, and the new building's gonna go up. On one side, yay, we're gonna get more people bigger flats. On the other side, oh, what's going to happen to 1,000 people living there now for the last 35 years? And most importantly, have we collected their stories and heritage? So the toolkit helped us to collect the stories and also publish them and produce them in a more cohesive and holistic way. Ocean, posters, stickers, and also awareness campaigns for Blue education. And the Streetwise was a little bit of a surprise, but it's street theater and street reporters. And again, what does a 94-year-old granny with an iPad and a camera have in common with the ex-professor of cross-disciplinary studies who opened a human theater and teaches people how to be people? And a graffiti writer and a balaclava. So if you start with a stereotype, it's hard. But if you look at the objectivity of a power of street art, which is participatory practices, public space, basic digital skills, ability to project manage. These are all skills that can complement official science and schools. Like in Holland, we call the Zwarte Scholen, the black schools. That's the colleges that don't have art and culture at all in their curriculum. And this is 25% of the future population of Amsterdam, my city. When I'm 70, these kids will be in charge. So I feel my duty as a citizen of Europe is to build the bridges between generations, and I think this toolkit will help us to do that. But it's still a hope. We haven't put it to practice. We haven't driven it. We haven't collected the first harvest.
Thank you so much, Anna, for such a detailed explanation. And yeah, you can still ask other questions if you have any in the Q&A section, and we'll address all of them in the end of our webinar. But for now, I think it's high time we move to our next speaker, Aniya. So Aniya, if you could just present yourself and tell what you want to tell everyone about.
Yeah, thank you, Ginevra. Thank you for this super cool project. So hi everyone, I am Aniya Grillo Riccelli. I'm the project assistant at Debating Europe, which is the citizen engagement unit of Friends of Europe, a Brussels-based think tank. And I was born and raised in Marseille, so I'm French. And today I will speak about the challenges and best practices that we have in my city, in Marseille, around Blue education. So it will be far away from all this super great, enthusiastic cultural presentation that Anna did. But it is some pretty fascinating projects that the city and local institutions came up together. So yeah, very happy to do this. So I will start by presenting my screen, sharing my screen right there. Okay, you should be able to see normally. Great. So very quickly, I would just go over the political landscape of the city to understand when it comes to Blue education, who does what in the city, who has the competence to issue what type of policies, what type of social innovation in the city. And then I will present a few projects that have been successfully implemented in the city. And finally, speak about how to best invest in youth futures with all of this. So first of all, general context, 2025 in France was the year of the sea, which fostered a lot of interest and a number of initiatives in the south of France towards blue education. Of course, we had a United Nations Conference on Oceans in Nice in June, so a lot of initiatives in Nice revolved around culture, museums, a lot of art shows around the sea and the waters. And we also had the city of Montpellier, which is also in the south of France, but on the other side, that created this Academy of the Sea, which was a project to bring a synergy among the various players in the maritime sector. And in the middle, between Montpellier and Nice, you have Marseille. So very quickly, Marseille is the second biggest city of France. It's the first port of France. Some might argue it's not. I argue it is. And it has almost 900,000 inhabitants and 57 kilometers of coastline. So it's a lot of water. And with a city as big as this, you must wonder, there must be a strong focus on blue education and on public policies, trying to teach what all of this territory has to bring, right? Well, yes and no. That's why we have all of this in front of you. I apologize in advance because I will cite the word competence a lot, but I think it's important here because to implement impactful public policies, competences are key. So what you see here when it comes to education, you have the circle in the middle. It's the French Ministry of Education that is in charge of issuing programs. Then it delegates, it decentralizes to local institutions. And in the region of Marseille, first you have the region here. Then you have that is in charge of high school students. So students from 14 to 18 years old in terms of education. Then in the middle, you have the département, which is a local institution that is in charge of middle school students, so ages 11 to 14. And then on the end of the screen, the city that is in charge of children aged 3 to 11, so kindergarten and primary schools. As you see, it is very fragmented. And the isolated institution here, the Métropole, Aix-Marseille-Provence, does not have any educational competence. However, it has the competence when it comes to the port and maritime affairs. So that's why I thought it was relevant to put it here. Great. So with all of this, we can already guess that there is a fragmented implementation of educational projects because of the way the competences are shared, but also because of political willingness. And you will see in the projects, oh wait, let me get out there. Right, in the project I will present, unfortunately, there is not one that acts as an interinstitutional collaboration, meaning it's always one local institution with Europe or one local institution with the state, but it's never 2 or 3 local institutions acting together for the sake of blue education in the territory. But let's see what has been done. So first, when it comes to city initiatives, it is a very recent initiative called Les Gardiens de la Mer, so Sea Guardians, Sea Keepers. It was launched in October 2025, so very recent, and it will involve 800 children, around 30 classes, and it has 3 key pillars. So first, allow children to learn about the local marine environment. Second, it's understand the impact of human activity on the marine ecosystem. And the third one is educate about the importance of preserving marine biodiversity. So it is targeted to children aged 3 to 11. And it has been launched in collaboration with the association WWF that you might know. Then we have regional projects. So the first one, Ginevra was also mentioning those blue schools, where in 2022, 3 schools in the city were part of the Blue Schools Med project, which is a co-funded project by Erasmus+, this specific one. And it has allowed children to visit other cities in Italy, in Greece, and learn about practices in those maritime territories, which was a success. And that's the first cool thing. And the second project, when it comes to regional project, is Calypso, which is a project for high school students. And it is a regional competition where professors can present their class to follow an environmental project or present solutions to an environmental challenge on their territory. And recently, it's high schools in the city have won this, which is great. But we noticed that it's mostly private high schools or high schools, top-ranked public high schools. So it's lack inclusiveness. And finally, the state. So you have state initiatives. First, you have those Air Marine Éducative, which is a stamp, a label that is given to schools that are involving their children in blue education. There are 4 schools today in Marseille that have been given this label, so it is a great impulse. And then the last thing I will speak about is this school of blue economy, École de l'économie bleue, that was announced by President Macron in 2022. And it's supposed to be a high school based on upskilling and bringing more interest in blue jobs. So what we understand from all of this, and especially from the last project as well, is that there is a wider scope to blue education coming from the state and other actors, with this need to include blue economy as well, job creation, upskilling in blue jobs, giving education, but also future opportunities in this sector to young people in the city. And that's why I really want to raise a point here. In my opinion, blue education needs to contribute to building a conscious generation in the south of France. I'm not only speaking about environmental consciousness, of course, that is an important pillar, but I mean a generation who knows where they come from, what that territory has to offer, and who knows that they have a panel of things to offer to the world and know that they matter, because that's the issue today that we have with young people in the city. And you can see on the left of the screen this citation from an association of a friend of mine that she created called We Legacy. And she has this mantra that says, to know where you're going, you must first know where you come from. And to me, blue education in the city is exactly that. And therefore, it must not just be about environmental conservation, it must have this wider scope. And interinstitutional collaboration at local level is key to follow a generation of children, right, in their blue education journey, but education in general, because if it's fragmented like this, you lose people, you lose generation of children. And in that sense, the role of the EU is key in bridging this interinstitutional gap that we have in France, and in order to implement durable policies and learn from best practices in other cities, other countries, and open cross-cultural opportunities as much as possible for young people. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Aniya. It was really interesting to listen about all the aforementioned initiatives and about blue education as a policy. And I see that there is another question from anonymous attendee.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry to interrupt you. I think we have already 2 questions for Aniya before even she stopped. The first one is from Ross Milan, and then the anonymous one, just, to keep the order.
Yeah. So the question is, should I read it out loud?
Please.
More about the success of the Blue Schools Med, the program co-funded by Erasmus+. Yes, so this project was, so as I said, co-funded by Erasmus+, and impulsed by the region and the city. It encouraged schools in the city to candidate kind of their class to this project, and it allowed them to go on trips in other cities, work over a year on a specific environmental project related to marine preservation, and also work on those air marine éducative that I talked about. So, for example, a school in the south side of the city worked on the preservation of the Parc des Calanques, which is one of the biggest natural park that we have in the city. So it is a fund given to a specific class, not a school entirely, but a specific classroom, to allow them to bring opportunities of super young cross-cultural collaboration, because they were aged 6 to 11 at that time. I hope this answers the question. But I don't think schools were selected again in other projects, so we'll have to wait for other calls and see if it could be renewed.
Thank you, Aniya. And for another question that was asked by anonymous attendee, I think we'll address it in the end of the webinar, as it's high time we move to another speaker to make it on time. So I pass the floor to Erni Kocani.
Yeah, I can I can jump in because with Ernie, we decided we're going to make it more interactive and it's going to be me asking questions to him. So, Ernie, I will quickly introduce you. Erni Kocani works at the European Research Institute in Tirana. He's a development practitioner with over 10 years of experience in local governance, environmental management, and civil society engagement across Albania and the Western Balkans. So his expertise centers on sustainable development with a strong focus on waste management, circular economy solutions, and the alignment of national and local policies with EU environmental standards. But today he's gonna discuss these topics I just mentioned with the geographic focus he also has. So, Ernie, feel free then to share your screen. And I think the first question I would like to ask is if you could tell us the most recent initiatives of your institute related to waste management and marine litter, with a focus on the work with the national and local stakeholders.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Ginevra, for the introduction. Very nice introduction, and thank you all for hosting us. Let me just quickly share my screen. I want to present a short video that we made during a project that we are implementing, and I will discuss a bit more, but just as a background, and let it flow as I speak. So, yeah, Urban Research Institute is a non-profit organization established in 1999 here in Tirana, Albania. We mainly focus working only in Albania, but also in Kosovo and the Western Balkan countries. We also part of networks with the European organizations such as ALDA and collaborate in different projects, IPRA projects and the Horizon project. But the main focus or areas of expertise are promoting sustainable urban development. And one of the main areas that the institution focused on, me personally, is the waste management. In the Western Balkans, waste management is a big topic. So, because we have moved forward nationally and locally, but still remains an issue, not just for Albania, but as a region at all. Over the past years, we have been implementing decomposition projects on waste management, mainly supporting the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, particularly contributing to the waste national strategy, which is the main document that frame waste management, including that include topics like circular economy, also marine litter, which is like if you do a good waste management, of course, we tackle also marine litter, but also supporting several municipalities at the local level since they struggle a bit with good performance in waste management. But I want to point out the project that we are implementing right now in the municipality of Durrës, which is the second largest municipality in Albania. It's a coastal municipality, and it's like in the Adriatic coast. The specific with this municipality is like uh, the three rivers pass through the municipality, and they are very polluted because they pass through urban areas, and then they are polluted since people throw any kind of thing. It's not nice, but it's the reality. And we have partnered with the municipality and also with the University Alexandru Măciu, which is a university in Durrës, and we have organized several activities, one of which is this summer school focused on young people from this university in order to capacitate and raise awareness of them regarding waste reduction, waste management, marine litter. And we did a 5 day summer school, like introducing best practices, going and showing them recycle companies and how they perform, what is the cycle of waste management, in order not just to tell them by presentation, but for them to be able to touch the ground and feel the problem. Uh, in parallel, URI works with local civil organization, other local civil organization, and also with citizens. We have done a lot of through this project, a lot of public consultation in order to be able to explain to each, not to each citizen because it's too much, but to a broader group of citizens what we are aiming with this project as the waste management and what could they do in order to improve uh, like to be part of the solution, not of the problem. Of course, bringing these actors together, institution, academia, CSO, it's a difficult thing to put all these kind of people in one road. It's like a bit difficult, but the experience so far show that when people see municipalities taking action, tangible, visible steps, they become part of the solution. Yeah, and this is this the video in the background showed like the summer school, a short video of the summer school, illustrating the what we have done so far in the project. Yeah.
Thank you, Erni. And in fact, I was also watching the video. I saw many young people. That's always very pleasant to see
Yeah.
that they are already engaged. Yeah, so maybe let's move to the second question. What
Yeah.
do you see as the biggest challenges of waste management in the Western Balkans? And if you can maybe make a potential comparison with other demonstrator countries of the BlueLightS project. For instance, we have Greece, but if some others come to your mind, please feel free.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the question. It's like as I said, like Western Balkan countries are face similar problems, although they have specifics, but they a very similar challenge when it comes to waste management, even though there are small differences between them. Some countries like Serbia, for example, it's like a little bit ahead in terms of infrastructure and policy development, but overall we share the same problematic. Across the Western Balkans, the main challenges may include limited territorial coverage of waste management, especially in rural areas. They are not well covered. Weak system for separation at source, which is not a big thing. I know that in Europe, recycling is at high level, but here in the Western Balkans and also in Albania, it's not so much well implemented. And lack of systematic education and awareness programs. We do a lot of projects like implementing like raising awareness, marine meter, etc. But they are time frame. Is the project finished? Another one starts, or maybe not. So it's not a continuous process. Another common characteristic that may mention here is they are interconnected by water bodies. Since a lot of water bodies come through different countries in the Western Balkans, I mentioned here Drina River, which connects North Macedonia, Kosovo, Albania, and Montenegro, four of the six Western Balkan countries. And then somebody throw waste in the river in North Macedonia, they will go through Albania and then in the Adriatic Sea. So, before waste management, the pollution control cannot be addressed effectively if countries act in isolated way. So we need to like work together. When we first met, and then I saw the project website, I saw that in Greece there is this has made some progress, and by adopting national education framework that integrate learning about terrestrial, coastal, marine, and fresh ecosystems, which in the other Western Balkan countries, as I know, it's not implemented. So it's like we have to go ahead and then make it this a continuous process, not just project based. In the Western Balkans, including Albania, such framework doesn't exist. So, uh, uh, but also not countries that are like in the other coastal countries, but also inland countries should implement awareness raising regarding education activities regarding marine litter, since they also affect this the marine litter problematic. In short, the region biggest struggle is not only lack of infrastructure, but also fragmented approach, since each country operates by its own and not uh, working together to tackle the problematic. Most Western Balkan countries are still working in silos, not in systems. But by working in system, we will have a different approach. We would share the same database in order to like facilitate the movement of waste from a country to another, and also in the Adriatic or Ionian Sea.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I think this problem of the silos way of operating, it's very widespread in Europe, not just for this sector, but I see it in other projects as well. Unfortunately, experts don't communicate, ministries don't communicate, so that's really a problem. And just out of curiosity, do you think do you think they are doing something to face this situation, or is something that it will last?
Yeah, to make it like in positive note, they of course they are doing something that the Dubrovnik agenda that was signed like a week or two ago, implementing the green agenda in the Western Balkans. It's showing that there are some willingness in order to like move forward as a region, not as countries, in order to tackle plastic pollution, waste management, energy problems. But so far, so it's kind of Western Balkan countries, as you know, they are like lack of finance. So they are in need of finances in order to implement projects, collaborate with each other. So if IPA project as an instrument is working a lot, but much more is needed to be done.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Okay, another question. So now we were discussing about what doesn't work or still needs improvement, but what do you see as been a successful case study we can learn from, and which would benefit from further attention and development?
Yeah, let me share the screen again since I was back at the old one. We here is the project. Still I can name different projects, but in the context of Albania, it's not as I mentioned, it's not as the same in Europe. Maybe something done here, something small, could be nothing in like different countries, in Italy, in France, or I don't know, in Brussels or in Belgium. But here in Albania and the Western Balkans could mean something like very important. Uh, at the Urban Research Institute, we have been directly the last 3 years, we have been implementing a project in a municipality called Berat, which is a UNESCO World Heritage City. Like a land that attracts a lot of tourists in the central part of Albania, and we have implemented this project in store separating of waste, household waste management, which is kind of a new like uh, new approach. It's not new as new things people have heard it, but not implemented in first place. So what we have like lesson learned for previous projects, we learned that we have to communicate with people, with the citizens, in order like to see what are the challenges they face in every day, and then to try to address them by activities or by involving them from the first steps of any project we implement, especially projects that have direct impact on the community. We started this project by like drafting a good of uh, awareness materials, different kind of awareness materials, since we are like addressing different age gaps of people and also businesses, institutions, citizens. We did it with staff of Berat municipality and volunteers going door to door. An Instagram page and the Facebook page was open, and also like to address issues, since people like use them a lot, city lights, in order to raise awareness on the project, and door to door information campaign reached like 150 people, consultative meetings, dedicated phone number in email in order like to facilitate them if they have any question how to do this or how to do that. We like they have been directly involved in the phone call. Some people like facilitate any question that they may have. As I mentioned, door to door campaign, and also we build a collecting center when waste were transported, collected differently, and transported, selected in different type of ways, and then processed to a cardboard and paper. And just to give some numbers, because that's some perspective on the topic, since we are speaking here awareness raising, very nice word, but at the end is like what we have achieved in the end of the project. In just 10 months, the municipality has managed to sell 68 tons of cardboard and paper, like meaning 7,000 of euros. It's not much, but it's something in order this money could be added to the municipality in order to improve the waste management, to raise awareness, to go to different villages and other citizens. So and this is the first step. Imagine after a year or 2 years that they will be implementing this project, how many more products they can collect and then resell, also implementing circular economy uh, principles. The other project that I wanted, these are the materials that are ready for selling. The second project, it was implemented in North Albania in a small municipality called Upës, which shares the border with North Macedonia and Kosovo. It is like high in biodiversity and ecosystem services. And then we did some uh, small activities introducing these uh, waste traps in the river, not in the big river, since like the flood is very, but in small ones that allow the municipality to collect waste, and also here with these small traps that we implemented in Kosovo and in Albania, around 10 tons of waste were eliminated from the water body. So this small intervention like achieved 20 tons in a like 6 months. So there are 20 tons less in the Adriatic Sea due to this small intervention. Imagine if we can scale up in all the country or in all the territory of the municipality. So these examples show the local action, when supported by strong communication and community ownership, can produce lasting results. We are aiming for them. What we need now is to scale up such initiatives and link them together regionally. As I speak before, it's the problem that we face, but also you mentioned in Europe, we are working in silos, not in synergy with each other. So imagine if all the Western Balkan countries or in Europe implement such short activity or such short implementation, uh, would what could be the result? So this is it for the good perspective on the
That's
waste management sector in Albania. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, Ernie. Thank you very much. And as you can see, maybe in the chat, you received already many compliments. Well done for this amazing project that truly empowers students for sustainable waste management. Thank you, Stephanie and Michaela. Just great. No, it's I fully agree. I see there are no questions, but I have a question for you. Actually, I take the chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I saw from what you presented this door-to-door campaign that you did that it seemed very structured, but it was based on volunteers. And so I was wondering how you managed first to get the volunteers on board and which kind of volunteers you got. Like it was only students or only elderly people who maybe have more free time than people who are working. And also I was thinking to apply it to my context in Italy,
Yeah.
and the people would be a bit scared, especially again elderly people that are all the time at home and they don't have very many social interaction. That's a problem that we have of elderly difficulty in elderly inclusion in the society. And so it going door to door, it also it's a big thing, right? Like you need
Yeah,
to have the right the right person on the other side. So how was it?
Yeah, I have to be sincere. We did not knock in each door, but in the historical part, we did it in each door because it was like really important for us to show our faith in order for people to believe in it. And to come back to the first section of the question, yes, we did this with the different kind of people, with youngsters, with elders. We open a platform, but I want to mention more that we like the municipality of Berat was very collaborative with us. They since the beginning they embraced the project. They called it their own. So we worked very easy with them, which is not uh, the same with with other municipalities. And then we did this platform for people, calling out people that want to be engaged in first person, engaged in the project. And surprisingly for us, we received a lot of like kind of applications, let's call it, and we train them in order like to be on the same page, what we are achieving, what would be the key activities of the project. So we were all in line in order like to not have discrepancies between each other. And then we knocked in each door, not in each literally in each door, but we did uh, uh, like activities involving all different stakeholder businesses, CSOs, elderly, all kind of actors that like may be impacted from this project. And it was not easy, you know. It's not that like we knocked on their door and then they surprisingly said yes, it's a beautiful project, we love me on it. No, in the face we struggle a little bit, but then we managed like to address it, since the also the people saw see firsthand what was being done, and then they see that the waste were collected separately and then not landfilled but sold. So it was a plus for us. And now, after like 3 years of implementation, we call it the best practice for Albania at least, but also for Western Balkan, I should say. Since we like uh, been able to involve all the citizens, all the stakeholders in the city.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. And I fully understand what you say, because I hear so often, especially here in Brussels, that we have a big problem with waste management. I see so many of my friends even saying, why should I separate waste? I don't see the result. I don't know if they really recycle. So what you did, like showing people how you were doing it, I think it really made the difference, together with having the municipality on board, because
Yeah,
that's
it's
also a
a
big
big
help.
plus. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We have a question, I think. So, it was some kind of rewards for that wonderful project.
Reward for the citizen or for us?
I'm not sure either. It was
No, for us it was like implementing it, like see it implemented, and what first was an idea, now is an implemented project, and we can like share it with you all today, because even if the project which was not successful, I cannot share it with you as a best practice. Regarding with people, they do not have a reward. They have like we are now like discussing with the municipality that for each business that it will be part of this process. This business is a bit like different from household. We are municipality will provide with a green tag that this business is friendly with the environment. It's big steps, and I know, but that's how it works. And then in order for tourists to go, because tourists, we have seen that tourists see this kind of small thing if the business is green or not, implementing circular economy concepts or not. And then the municipality will tag this badge on the door of the business in order like to for you as a citizen or tourist see that this business is uh, environmental friendly.
Thank you, Erni. I think we can discuss a bit about tourism, because I'm also very interested in the last session. Because now we have to go to our last speaker, and I would say last but not least. So we have with us Veronika Mercieca from Port Regional Council. She is a cultural manager there, and Malta's Port Region is one of Malta's 6 administrative areas, encompassing 11 localities. So she has a background in anthropology and maritime history, and now works to develop sustainable projects that address resident needs, that foster connections with non-governmental and volunteer organizations, and increase accessibility to arts, health, sustainable transportation, and other areas. So, Veronika, I know you have a presentation. Feel free to share your screen. Thanks.
So thank you for that introduction, and I'm very excited to be contributing to this. And before I start the presentation, I just wanted to maybe share a few thoughts on the previous presentations, because I think they will tie in a lot to what I will be saying. That sort of the stress throughout all of these different projects to me seems to be on the sense of accountability and also of public ownership over space and over the seas. So getting that actual sense and pushing sort of an idea of of common public space, where a sea is seen sort of more as a public domain and not just as a source of resources or as a source of leisure. However, as Ginevra kindly introduced me, I'm from the island state of Malta, so we are surrounded by the sea, and my specific area and region is the Port Regional Council. So I'm going to be sharing this so that I can maybe introduce you a bit to the region and to our project as well. Okay. So the port region in Malta includes includes our current capital city as well as our historic capital city, and it is also home to the post-industrial area. So over here I have a map on the right-hand side. There's Valatar capital, Floriana, and basically a lot of the cities on the right-hand side. These form part of our region. We have 11 localities in total, and a few interesting sort of introductory facts as well about our region is that it's been designated for next year's Region of Culture. So over there, for example, we have the logo, which again, it's an anchor. It's the idea of going into the sea. Each wave represents the different local councils. There was an explanation of this done to every single locality, and I will sort of explain why this is very important for us as a region. But we are also competing to be the 2031 European Capital of Culture with the locality of Vittoriosa. So this is a current bid. And the way we view this as well is it's an opportunity for us to improve infrastructure and to also ensure measures which will aid in the long-term sustainability of our region. Something as well about Malta is that it is incredibly densely populated, and that the tourism industry basically doubles our residents, like the amount of residents on the island, especially during summer months. So one thing to mention as well is that the regions in Malta were actually firstly created as an effort to tackle waste management. Now my specific position is cultural manager. So I work more on the cultural initiatives, but as much as I can, I also try to include a focus on the seas, and on our environments. And I'm going to show a few projects now. So we have a number of starting points. So there was a study that was carried out termed the social impact assessment. It focused on the different localities in our regions. And one of the largest issues was definitely sort of the pollution and also the current presence of industries within our region, which lead to not only light pollution, but also sound pollution, and also the question of transport. And the way the social assessment also looked at environmental concerns, sort of, it was looking at it in terms of the problems reported by the residents. However, this is important to also state that sort of as a region, since we also consult with the scientific literature, there are also certain problems which the public themselves might not be aware of and which might not show up in the social impact assessment as things which are actually having an effect and which are ongoing within our region. One of the projects which we worked on this year was Tech Beyond Borders. So this was an effort that was carried out in our localities. We made use of public spaces, and what the region also does is it fosters collaboration between volunteer organizations, NGOs, and different local councils. So in each local council, we selected a specific site outdoors. And it was a mainly three-part collaboration between the Port Regional Council, in our case, what I did here, for example, is we created a worksheet, which was a treasure hunt routed to the locations where the workshops took place. We worked with Noble Courses Malta, who provide sort of robotics and coding workshops. And we also worked down there on the bottom right-hand corner. There is, like, for example, there's the drone, and I will be showing in the next slide. These are tools which are used actually by an environmental NGO in Malta called Zibel Malta, and they use these sort of high-tech items to keep track of pollution and to also assist in conservation, especially in coastal areas. So this was quite exciting, but we actually had an underwater drone, which was brought in, and it was hooked to a camera on site, and participants in the workshop were basically, and also passerbys, were able to observe the sea, sort of what was going on underneath. It was the port region in Malta is not really accessible to scuba divers because of the constant sea traffic, and also, I mean, as you can see, there's you can see the oil on the surface of the water. So just by doing these kind of workshops outside, there's already sort of a consciousness being raised, and also we're trying not to be too afraid of technological tools, but rather trying to embrace them and use them and show how they can be used and how they are actually being used in conservational practices. Another thing to mention is that the workshops were adapted, so they were bilingual. We had English and Maltese. Participants were, it was open to participants on a national basis. However, we did focus and we did give preference to participants who came from the localities. And also, this was also ensured by having basically a 50-50 model. So we had 50% registered participants, and the 50% then were sort of brought in from the actual street. So we did a lot of grassroots outreach by walking around and telling them, oh, there's a workshop going to be taking place in the next 30 minutes. And in this way, we were able to also engage audiences who might not have come across the post on Facebook or social media. In fact, that is one of the largest issues as well, that when these sort of activities are taking place in a space which is already quite overpopulated, and there's space, as in overpopulated in the sense that there are activities going on constantly, and it's a very saturated environment. This on-this ground outreach works a lot to actually bring in people and increase engagement. And also another thing to mention is that the funds were brought in from Scienza Malta, which is a national agency, and there was an application process that was submitted to get the funds specifically on this project. So all the materials and sort of the lessons incorporated into this initiative were also in line with the STEM sort of program and the level of the children participating in terms of school activities. So we have also different projects and ways of tackling waste on a national scale. So there's, as I mentioned already, the region's primary function is waste management. However, this is usually done, each locality has a tender with a particular waste management, and this is sort of sorted locality by locality. And in some cases, localities can also come together to sign a shared tender, and this is the most sort of it's been found to be the most helpful, especially when we have localities which overlap one upon the other. In fact, if you're going through Malta, sometimes you might have difficulty understanding where one ends and one begins, and that is the case for our specific region as well. There was also a national action plan for combating marine litter. Again, there were issues here in terms of the communication and the outreach, which were mentioned previously. But I think it's also important to stress that there is a lot of positives, and positives which are sort of more emerging, so maybe we do not feel their effect right now. We have a course in Malta for art systems, an oceanography course, and there are also recently available Endeavor scholarships for higher education and Blue education. So these are all measures which I believe are a step in a very positive direction. And we also have sort of more recent efforts, such as the Merillo campaign. This is sort of an attempt to also engage younger audiences by creating mascots for waste. This mascot basically, we included him in the prize which was given for participants who took part in our workshops, for example. So there's a gift bag with cartoon illustrations. There's also a currently ongoing, we have sort of cartoons and the ringtone, which is going to be accompanying Grillo Merillo. So, and also there are constant collaborations with Transport Malta to include the mascot on buses, for example, and include messaging and to raise awareness about sort of waste separation and reduction. This is outside of our region. But it's something which we will hopefully also be working towards. It's to include multilingual instructions for waste management. This is because Malta's population and resident population is incredibly diverse, and there are regions in our locality which have taken quite a leap in this with their information when it comes to waste management, that it is translated in around 11 different languages. So this is something which we're currently working on. It's not a project directly related to waste. However, we are working with a group called No Barriers Malta who do translations for these different languages. Here I have a list of a number of other projects, which I'm not going to delve into completely, but one of the things is obviously as a Mediterranean sort of city-state, Mediterranean island state, we work a lot, as much as we can, with other states and countries in the Mediterranean to understand how they approach problems, to create skill sharing initiatives, and to also apply for Erasmus Plus projects. So this is something which I think is pretty common around the board. So a number of challenges as well. Something which I should mention is that the Port Regional Council in Malta is still very recent. So it was only like sort of formalized in around 2010. Technically, each region is composed of the mayors of all the localities. Amongst them, they elect a president, and then there's also an executive secretary who takes care of the financial decisions. And there's also an introduction of the managerial role. So we have waste managers, cultural managers, IT managers. Each region in Malta is at a different state. So for example, our region only has the cultural manager. So there's an issue there in terms of sort of what is realistic and what is not. However, from the social impact assessment, there have been other challenges which were listed. So the idea, like a holistic understanding of culture. So again, in my role, I can only fight for sort of environment through the lens of culture. However, communicating that holistic understanding is a very key part. So it's very important for us to engage and work very closely with local councils to also participate in the cleanups which they organize, and to also create new links, which we can do through our end with voluntary organizations and NGOs, and to also strengthen ongoing projects. So we have, again, residents expressed dissatisfaction with urban development. So a lot of private industries. There's it's a very complicated situation in terms of enforcement. And we also have an issue with literacy levels. So for example, our region has a very low literacy level in comparison to the national average. And we also have a large issue with regards to gentrification and the fact that many families also cannot find sort of affordable housing in the streets where maybe their families had lived. So the idea of community and culture there still remains very important, especially when the traditional practices have generally been more sustainable. we are trying to do our best to tackle these challenges, and here I have a bit of a brainstorm on the way forward. So we're going to be working a lot with artists. As I mentioned at the start, next year we're going to be the region of culture. We're going to be working actually, and I'm very happy actually to have that this conference sort of started with the idea of murals, because one of our flagship projects for next year is actually a mural in every single location. And our goal is to work with the local councils together with an artist and the schools to develop specific themes. And actually and the idea is that the murals themselves will be created by children through using materials that are specifically adaptable for areas exposed to the sea. So for example, through the use of ceramics. That is one project which we're going to be doing. And these are sort of the main exercises which we're going to be keeping close in all the projects which we engage with in the future as well. Maybe one last thing I could also mention is that in terms of, I know that the at the start, Ginevra mentioned sort of the impact of tourism. Now, there are a lot of negatives, obviously, which have been associated with the cruise industry in Malta. However, there have also been ways in which we have managed to sort of turn them into also positive. So through the development, for example, waterfront areas, which were previously post-industrial spaces left to ruin and which have been regenerated. And through this, has actually been a plan that has been applied there and which does reduce waste. However, sort of a more national perspective is very important to making sure that our island is sustainable and that people's rights to having a say in the way that public space is used, including the seas, which is a public space in our case, especially given the fact that we don't have much green space. So the seas in our case is important on a sustainability level, but also on a mental health level. So we're really trying to view our seas through the lens of culture for people. I think that is the end of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Veronika. It was very interesting, very comprehensive as well. You talked about the challenges, what's the vision, which is always pleasant to end with a good note, I think. Michael, I think we have some questions, right? Very long ones, even.
Yes, I was just texting in the chat my email and Ginevra's email in case you could have any questions that you want to ask in the future, or if there is any project that you're particularly interested in. And I think we have 3 questions left that were not answered yet, and we'll have a little bit of time. So the first question is to Aniya. Aniya, you spotlighted how politics and economy can come in the way when blue education is concerned. What is your take on how to face the situation? And do you know some successful case studies that managed to make the economy and politics allies and not enemies of a topic like blue education, which is of a global universal importance?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. As I said, I spoke a lot about institutions, but because I think that, at least in my city and from my experience, the lack of interinstitutional collaboration, I really sound like an EU technocrat when I say this. We hear in Brussels a lot of these talks, but it is the truth. If institutions work together, so all of these different level of competencies, so from ages 3 to 18, then you don't lose a generation of children. And I had a talk with the mayor of a small Polish town called Soplot. Maybe I pronounce it super badly, I'm sorry. But I asked her, how do you follow your generations? How can you make sure that if you implement a project in primary school, it will beneficiate then children when they grow up, right? And she told me it's because I have an overview. I have the competence when it comes to all children, so all ages, 3 to 18. And I think that is something that unfortunately we cannot bridge like this. But that's where the EU can help, as I said, and a lot of associations on the ground. But I will give an example, because there is an example where all of the local institutions came together, and it's cool that Erni talked about sea pollution and all of that, because it's specifically about that as well. And it's with the preservation of the Parc des Calanques. So I spoke about it, but there it is this huge fund that was created, which every bit of institution put their little bit of money in. And it's 40 million euros to preserve the park from over tourism and sea pollution. And you have the city, the département, the métropole, the government, and the region that participated in it. So, for example, this is quite a good example, and it is also this park is also used by Blue schools, for example, to foster their project. So that is a great step, and I hope we will see more in the future.
Thank you, Aniya. And the next question is to Erni and Veronika. So both of you presented how tourism can become an asset in leveraging interest and resources for marine protection. What do you think is still missing, and what needs a stronger push to make the touristic sector more interlinked with other sectors and stakeholders in promoting blue awareness? If either of you or both of you can answer this question.
I think I'm just going to be mostly pressing a lot on the question of enforcement. I mean, we had the national budget was released yesterday, and for example, the tourism tax has been increased. So this should, in theory, go towards cleaning up after waste, especially. Sorry.
Sorry, it was my colleague. I'll turn off
No
my
worries.
microphone.
No worries. So, I mean, one of the things we have in terms of the housing crisis is also the fact that a lot of the areas have been turned into Airbnbs. So the rate at which waste is produced has risen by a lot. There has been an introduction of a tourism tax. It's still to be seen how this will go towards helping, but these issues are very sort of pressing at the moment when it comes to Malta, and the question of sustainable tourism is one which people on the island and our residents are in favor of. So, I mean, the port area has been sort of a historical space of exchange for many years, but the way in which it is done, and also especially the enforcement and the regularization of this industry, is something which I think most people would like to see.
Thank you, Veronika. Do you have anything to add, Erni?
Yeah, I can bring like the perspective of Albania up for sure. Yeah, in recent years, Albania has like increased the number of tourists. Like for example, 10 million people visited Albania in 2024, which is a lot for a small country, which is a past communist country, like 30 years of like leaving communism behind, which is a lot for us to like, but also put a lot of pressure in coastal municipalities since they are offering service for a certain amount of people during the year, and through summer the number increases. Also, in regard to the consumption increases in like the tourism impact, and then for sure the amount increases. So putting a lot of pressure on these municipalities and how they can deal with this amount of waste. For sure, tourists it's not also the bad like because they consume and they produce waste, but it's also the good part. We have seen a kind of increase of tourists like making photos of polluted areas and posting them online, and then directly raise awareness of local communities and municipalities in order to clean up the waste in order like to have a better environment for all. Also, they are raising awareness of the horeca sector, like hotel, restaurants, etc., in order for them like to tackle single-use plastic mostly because we are speaking here more for plastic, and then they are including like the campaigns in order where municipalities, central government institutions, and the horeca sector are like working together to raise awareness of the of the public in order to reduce single-use plastic, which like it's a nice thing to do, but also we can use like during the summertime, we can increase the collaboration between CSO citizens to like implement awareness raising activities in order like to decrease the amount of waste that is going thrown in the beaches, cigarette butts and cigarette.
Thank you, Erni. And
You're welcome.
Ginevra, let me know if we can tackle the last question, or it's better if it's addressed to either of our emails.
Yeah, I was wondering because I see it's very long and it's for everyone. So maybe we can, if there is a quick question, I would say let's take it. But for this long one, I think also for like replying it in the best possible way, we can forward it to all of you and you can reply and we are gonna send it
Yep.
to the person. I think we can do that. Maybe, yeah,
All right.
he or she
Then,
can. Yeah.
then we're coming to an end of our webinar, and I want to say big thanks to everyone, to every speaker. I think it was a very insightful conversation, and all the initiatives and projects that you mentioned about. I think it's important to talk about them, to bring light on blue education and why it is important. Um, yeah, Ginevra, if you want to add something.
No, I fully agree with you. I want to thank all our speakers. I think I'm very happy because we tried to make this webinar a bit diversified with different stakeholders. So I'm glad we tackled the cultural and waste management and the role of municipalities. So I hope it was insightful for the participants. And again, feel free to reach out to us for anything. I see many thanks. So thank you to you as well.
All right. So with this, we end our webinar, and we wish good luck to everyone who attended. And here is to more interesting webinars in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.